The 10 plagues of Egypt never happened. Never happened. It's a story. Moses, Pharaoh telling the midwives to kill all the little Hebrew boys that were born. Never happened. Pharaoh telling all of the people of Egypt to toss the Hebrew baby boys into the Nile River. Never happened. Mass genocide never happened. The whole idea of the Exodus is a complete story. It is a well contrived story. Let me not say that. Let me back up. It's a fabrication. It's made up. It's just made up. Now, I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't. I don't judge that as a bad thing. About God at all. Okay, are we good? Are we good? Can you hear me? Everything's good? Is everything a go? Ah, yay! We got fireworks. All right. Let me know if it is now unfrozen because I had a little message on my end that it was reconnecting. It looks like it's reconnected and it looks like it's working perfectly. So you let me know if we are connected. How about now? Because ooh, the things we have to talk about today. Oh my goodness. Oh, good. We're good. We're good. Excellent. Excellent. The things we have to talk about today, family, nothing short of earth shattering, nothing short of, wait, what? Nothing short of crumbling the entire foundation of religion as it has been regurgitated to us by people who probably loved us. They just didn't know better. They loved us. They just didn't know better. So they regurgitated the same thing that they received. Hence, we got a retelling of 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 a retelling on and on and on and on for thousands of years. And that's how we have wound up in this despotic situation that we currently find ourselves in, that billions of people on this planet think that this book is from God. They think that this, I have a whole collection of Bibles. I love the Bible. I just know it's not from God. As a matter of fact, you know what I did? I bought this out for you today to show you exactly my stance. This is Homer, the Iliad and the Odyssey. This is Homer. Can you see that? This is my Iliad and Odyssey. My high school teacher would be so proud of me because she had us read this. Okay, and I'm reading it again. I have this beautiful deluxe version of the Iliad and Odyssey by Homer, and here's the Holy Bible. Same thing. Same thing. This one, the Iliad and the Odyssey, gods and goddesses. This one, gods and goddesses. They even call out goddesses in this one called the Queen of Heaven. Okay, this one, sea monsters, talking animals, flying creatures. This one too. This this one, wars, battles, epic battles with heroes, heroines, angels, demons, or sky people. This one too. Look, 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 baby. Same thing. This is literature. And putting the word holy on it is a stretch. It's nothing holy about this book, just like it's nothing holy about this book. This is the Iliad and the Odyssey. This is the Bible. Can we see? Nothing holy about this, nothing holy about this. It's a collection of old stories that were written thousands of years ago by God knows who. We don't even know who wrote it. Oh, yeah, they gave attributions. We don't know who wrote the Bible. Think about that. You don't know who wrote any of it. And we don't know what it originally said because we don't have what it originally said. There were no printing presses when it was first being captured. So every time it was written from someone copying it or from someone hearing it and writing it down. Every time. And every time they wrote it, it changed a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. Do we understand when we're in church that they are preaching from a book that they don't even know about? Do you understand that your pastor was taught something about the Bible when they were in divinity school? Yet, we are talking about a book that no one knows what it originally says. No one knows who wrote it. We don't have the originals. We don't have copies of the originals. We don't have copies of the originals. It's gone. And yet people are willing to die and kill other people for this book. But who's gonna fight a war over Homer? Any takers? I want to have a holy war. And I want everyone who's for the Iliad and the Odyssey, come fight my holy war over Homer. People look at you like, Homer? We're not fighting over Homer. We all read this in school, didn't we? Or they told us to read it. It was an assignment. Now, whether we got through the assignment, that was another story. This book has killed more people, not because it's the word of God, because we were told it was the word of God. A lie has killed more people on this planet than anything else. More than political conflagrations, more than anything else, one lie has killed more people on this planet than anything else. And that is that those are holy books straight from the mouth of God. That's the lie. That's the lie that I seek to free humanity from, because as you free your own mind, you have a desire to share what you learn so that if others want to free themselves, that is completely up to them. They would do it. Like all of you incredible beings that meet me here every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. for The Real God Is Not in the Bible, baby. Let's get into these 10 plagues, because you know I got a lot to talk about. Toward the end, I'm going to give you the 3 scholars and their full bios who helped me in formulating and crafting this masterclass on the 10 plagues, the Exodus, Moses, the whole 9 yards. We're gonna look at it. 3 scholars, and I'm going to give you the 3 scholars, and I'm going to encourage you to read the 3 scholars. And if you're not really a person that likes to read a lot, because not a lot of people, not everyone is a reading kind of person. Some people like to listen, some people like to watch videos. You can watch these 3 scholars all over YouTube. And I'm telling you, do your deep due diligence into these 3 scholars that helped me formulate and craft what I'm going to share with you today, because it's going to be shocking. Let's get into it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. As you know, we're here Wednesday nights. Bring your friends, bring your family, get your drink, get your kombucha, get your coffee, get your tea, get your weed, get your shrooms, whatever your thing is. You know, we ain't got no judgments around here. Why am I on YouTube every week telling people that the Bible is not from God? It's not a holy book. It's not a spiritual book. It's not written by God. It wasn't inspired by God. The Bible has nothing to do with God. It's not a sacred book. It's not a holy book. Why am I doing that? Because I desire to share what I have learned and to reveal humanity's true origins and divine nature, which has been hidden up from us for thousands of years. People would seek to disempower us with disempowering stories that have nothing to do with us, and to free anyone who desires to be free from the heavy yoke of the Bible, because trying to live by the Bible, baby, that's a problem. And most of all, peace on earth. Peace on earth. Goodwill to all people, all colors, all shapes, all sizes, all people. Goodwill. Everyone is your neighbor. Love everyone. Love all people. Love and peace and goodwill is at the core of it. Oneness, which is truth to me. Okay, so the 10 plagues never happened. What are we going to do here? We're going to consider the absurdities of the 10 plagues, if taken literally. If you take this story literal, you think this is historic, all your church friends want to tell you, don't listen to that Christian witch who actually reads the Bible more than they do, studies the Bible more than they do. Don't listen to that Christian witch, that crazy lady on YouTube, because that lady is just filling your head that this, the devil is the Antichrist, Let's just look at it, shall we? Let's not make it about me or any person. How about we just look at the facts before us and use the critical thinking skills that we have from the infinite source and understand? I'm not an atheist by no means. By no stretch of the imagination am I an atheist. Absolutely not. I know that there is an infinite source, all good, all powerful, all loving, all knowing, all wise, infinite source, consciousness. I don't even think God is holy. Is that a crazy thing to say? Nothing holy about God. God is consciousness, it's energy. Maybe energy is holy, maybe it's not. An atheist can know that consciousness is the root of all, is the pure infinite source without believing in a God. So, we're going to look at the absolute absurdities. When I studied this in depth, I was like, oh, anyone who believes this just doesn't know the facts. They just don't know because it is absurdities. What we're going to look at, valuable insights from Bible scholars, so that you can arrive at a conclusion about the 10 plagues of Egypt, the Exodus, Moses, and that they're all fabrications, they're mythology. And it's vital that we understand the distinction between truth and mythology. What is a mythology? A mythology is an allegorical narrative. It's a narrative that's explaining something about life and how life works. It's a body of myths, such as the myths dealing with gods, demigods, legendary heroes of a particular people. So there's Norse mythology, there's Egyptian mythology, there's Persian mythology, Zoroastrian mythology, there's Hindu mythology, there's Christian mythology, except the Christians like to tell you that their thing is the only truth and everything else is a mythology, when the Christian mythology is probably the biggest mythology we have on the planet. These are mythologies, and nothing is wrong with a mythology. I actually love mythology. Mythology is in no way to be taken as literal or factual or hysterical. Historical, yeah, it is hysterical. That mythology is not to be taken that way. They're truths encoded in story form. So we should understand. We're grown people. We should understand the difference between a story and truth. I mean, when we listen to Cinderella, we know that we're listening to a story about a young woman who has to come of age, has to fend for herself. She's in a hostile environment. She's got the stepmother, the evil stepmother, the three evil sisters, stepsisters. They treat her like trash. She wants to go to the ball. And then there's this fairy godmother. No one thinks there was a real person named Cinderella. But people still think there was a real person named Moses. Maybe not after this broadcast. It's my contention. This is my contention that a small band of people emerging from ancient Canaan, who would later be known as the Israelites, sought to create an origin story for themselves. Now that's beautiful. I think that's lovely. Create an origin story for yourselves. Emerge, and you want to have your own story. Wonderful. Nothing wrong with that. The problem is when that story became concretized as parts of the Hebrew Bible, and now they're trying to force feed it on all of us. And Black people, y'all really have an issue, Black people, because y'all think that the Bible has something to do with you. The Bible has nothing to do with you at all. And you forgot all your African roots. Go on Ancestry and look up your African roots. Nigeria, do you know anything about spirituality of Nigeria? The Bantu peoples, do you know anything about the spirituality of the Bantu people? That's what's running in your veins and in your blood, but you don't know any. Those are your ancestors. Don't know anything about it because you were so stuck on what the colonizers shoved down your throats. And I keep saying colonizer is not a color, colonizer is a consciousness. We still have colonizers. Okay, let's talk about the first big red flag. this one is hilarious. Let's talk about the first big red flag with Exodus 12:37. This is the first big red flag. Well, I don't want to say the first because there's so many red flags in this story. This is the first red flag we're going to talk about in this here conversation. The first red flag we're talking about here is in Exodus 12:37. It says 600,000 men on foot plus women and children were involved in the Exodus. 600,000. Okay. 600,000 men on foot, 600,000 men of fighting age, 600,000 able bodied men, plus women and children, and like a cluster of people that left with them. How many people would that be? How many people would that be? That would be between 2.5 and 3 million people. Why? Why would that be between 2.5 and 3 million people altogether? Why would that be? Let's come over here and come off screen share for a second. Okay. By the way, share, share, share. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Okay. Like, thumbs up, comment, share, share, share. Why would it add up to 2.5 million to 3 million people? Because 600,000 men of fighting age, able bodied men, men on foot, men who can go into the war, into the army, right? Able bodied men, 600,000. Well, what about all the older men that can't fight, grandpas and whatnot? What about all of the women, wives, mothers, grandmothers? What about all of the children? So the scholars say that 600,000 men, this is what the Bible says, Exodus 12:37. 600,000 men would equal 2.5 million to 3 million people. Well, what was the population of Egypt at the time of the Exodus? We're going to talk about the time of the Exodus and when Bibles, the Bible people try to tell us when the Exodus happened. They have two kind of dates where they think the Exodus happened. Okay. Forgot our roots. We forgot our roots. So, how many people were in Egypt during the time of the Exodus? Let's find out. How many people were there? So, you're talking about a massive exodus of 2.5 million to 3 million people. Okay, let's find out. Egypt's population in the New Kingdom period, roughly the time of the Exodus, somewhere between the 13th and 15th century BCE, and we're going to get into the exact dating in a little bit, don't worry, is estimated from archaeological surveys of settlements. So you can go to archaeological digs right now around Egypt and you can see the archaeological evidence of the settlements and the people that lived, smaller and larger. Agricultural production potential along the Nile River to support and feed these people. Because don't people have to eat all day, every day? Comparative population density with other ancient states. Most Egyptologists, when they do all the figurations, taking into consideration tax records, all of the multiple records that the Egyptians left, because they left comprehensive, they were supreme in their record keeping. Most Egyptologists place the total population at 2 to 5 million, depending on the exact period. But now, during the New Kingdom, which is when supposedly the Exodus happened, The estimate is about 2 million people lived in Egypt. Okay, 2 million people is the entire population of Egypt, but the Bible is telling us that 2.5 million to 3 million people left. That means ain't nobody left in Egypt. That's what that means. It means there's no one left in Egypt. Now, the higher population numbers, 4 million to 5 million, are later, more prosperous phases. They come much later. So it means 3 million Hebrews leaving would have exceeded the entire population of Egypt. Obviously, this is implausible. It is not possible. There's no archaeological evidence or textual evidence of that. It could not have happened. The first big red flag are the numbers. Did anyone ever, did anyone in church, were you sitting in church saying, okay, let me do this math. 600,000, 2.5 million, 3 million, that's 3 million people. Only 2 million people lived in all of Egypt at that time. Maybe 3. That means everybody left Egypt. That means there wasn't no Egyptians left. That means there was no other people. Pastor, I have a question. This isn't adding up. Okay, so keep that in mind. We're going to go into more. That's just one red flag. That's just one red flag. Has anyone ever talked about these numbers with you? Has anyone ever talked about these numbers? Thank you, Gina. Gina, they were wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. Their shoes never wore out. Not to mention 40 years of wandering in the Sinai desert. Not what they've been, archaeologists have been all over this desert where they say it happened in the Bible. Now, it's not mentioned anywhere else other than in the Bible writings. So that should give us a hint as well. The archaeologists have been all over this. They have yet to find one burial. 3 million people walking in the wilderness for 40 years. Not a bit of pottery, not one shred of, not a human bone. Where did they bury all the people when they died? But it's not a factual story. It's not a factual story. It's just simply not. And I've got to tell you, see, when we utilize archaeology, history, anthropology, and science as the foundation of our biblical analysis, the Christian myth becomes inherently apparent. Well said. Well said. And here's what I want to say. This is not knocking the Bible, because the Bible thumpers love to come around. Oh, you just want to trash the Bible. You just want to trash Christianity. You just want to trash Judaism. No, it's none of those. It's, are we using critical thinking skills? Are we coming to our own conclusions? Are we doing the research about the things that we've been told? If these people weren't imposing upon us and trying to control every area of our lives, I probably wouldn't be talking about this very much, because, our Christian family and our Christian friends, they're all over this. And they're trying to get you to conform. They're trying to get you to come back into the Christian thing as they know it and just blindly believe, just blindly. Don't ask any questions. Don't ask. Don't go too deep into the story, because the story cannot withhold scrutiny. And anything that cannot withhold scrutiny or cannot endure scrutiny, it's not worth my allegiance. It's not worth my allegiance. Let's continue. So that's one red flag that makes you go, something's amiss here. Okay, let's continue. Let's talk about Egypt's military, because wouldn't Egypt have had a military? Of course, Egypt kept a military. So I got to thinking, well, what about Egypt's military? What about their army? Because didn't the chariots go after these people? Like, what about that? Let me make sense of this. And so I did some research on Egypt's military during the New Kingdom period. Their Egyptologists say that their permanent professional army would have been about 20,000 to 25,000 soldiers. 20,000 to 25,000 soldiers of an empire that was holding captive 600,000 able bodied men, plus women and children and grandpas. And all. Why didn't y'all just walk up out of there? The 600,000 of y'all, 600,000 able bodied men could have took the Egyptian army at any time. Now, the Egyptian army, we do know that they had chariots, charioteers. So that would have been, they're on the chariots with the bows and arrows. This is the elite strike force. They would have had the infantry, also archers, spearmen, but the charioteers, like they're dashing with the horses. But y'all are slaves, but it's 600,000 of y'all. Yet y'all can't do nothing with these. Y'all couldn't steal the chariots at night, 20, 25,000. It's 600,000 able bodied men. Okay. Okay. They have specialized units, including the engineers, the medics. Now, when they have a major battle, like the Battle of Kadesh, 1274 BCE, 13th century, around the same time of the Exodus. They have a major battle. Maybe they can muster, because now they're going to go and they're going to get all the young men, just like we do, when we have a war currently. You go muster all the young men. It's a draft. Now, everybody drop what you're doing because we're going over here to fight these people. Sheesh, right? So, what about when they muster all the people? And what about when they go and send out the raven or whatever they send out their horse rider to go get the allies? Listen, you promised to come to the aid of House Lannister, right? Just go to Game of Thrones. I know it's a very different time period. I'm just giving an example of when you go to muster and you call on your allies and you tell your allies, hey, come on, we got to go fight this fight over here because you promised to help me and I promised to help you. And we're going to smash our people together and we're going to have enough. How many? 50,000 total. 50,000. Okay, now let's remember 50,000 max Egyptian military. Max. Like, they're not billions of people on the planet yet. We're thinking in terms of today, like we have millions of people just maybe in the military in the United States, right? Because the United States has 330 million people just in the United States. There's 8 billion people on the planet. All these people didn't live on the planet thousands of years ago. The population was much smaller. So you don't have these big, huge cities. A big, huge city like Alexandria was like a modern marvel back then. So you're talking 50,000 max military of the Egypt. Let's look at this with common sense. Let's look at this with critical thinking skills. How is it that 600,000 able bodied men, you had slave revolts with less people than 20, 30, 40, 50 people? You had slave revolts in the United States and Haiti and in other countries, in Jamaica. You had slave revolts with 20, 30 people. But 600 people, 600,000 people, able bodied men, and only 20, 25,000 of a regular military, maybe we can stretch it to 50,000 if we really need to go to war and do some things. You can see that this is just not possible. This story is not plausible. It's not plausible. It's not possible. It's not literal. It is not historical. It never happened. They made it up. They totally made it up. Now we're going to look at now we're going to look at the plagues. Now I got to tell you something. This is how I found out about this part of it, about the plagues part of it. Oh my goodness, this thing is hilarious. Let me share with you how I found out about the part where the plagues How many times did the plagues kill animals? Which plague and which plague killed the animals? Tell me if you know in the comments, because we done heard these stories 50 million times. Here come Moses, here come Aaron. Aaron has his staff, Moses has his staff, throw it down, turn into serpents. Magic practicing priests in Egypt, they could do the same thing. They throw down their staff, turns into serpents. They're like, whatever, you came to like the home of magic and you're trying to out magic us. We know magic. No, but we're better because our serpents staffs are going to eat your serpent staffs. It's like the one up. You can see the one up in the story because they have to make this is a good story. They have to make it a really good story. Okay, tell me how many plagues and which plagues, because we know these 10 plagues, don't we? Didn't they teach us the gnats and the flies and the frogs and the firstborn and all that? How many plagues, which plague killed the animals, the livestock of the Egyptians? Which one? I'll give you a minute. I'll give you a minute. Was it the locust? Oh, good one. Okay, come on, everybody. Tell me in the comments. Oh, 10th plague, firstborn animals. Okay, that's reasonable. That's what we heard. Tell me. Literally impossible for there to be zero physical psychological proof of millions of people roaming the desert for 40 years. And we believe because the word. This is hilarious. The Lord works in mysterious ways. I'm gonna mess up my makeup. Oh my goodness. Right? Just think about that, family. Think about the depth of the stories that we have been told, the fabrications that we are out here arguing with people over. We are out here killing people over these stories. We are out here fighting with Islamic people, fighting with Buddhist people. These Christians are out here waging war on every single person that ain't a Christian over some fake ass stories. Okay, was it the locust? We got two guesses so far. The locust and the 10th plague, firstborn animals. Let me get a napkin, a tissue or something. Okay. Any other guesses? I give you a minute. Put in the chat which plague killed the animals. Which plague? Why did God, first of all, I just want to know why did God kill the animals when it was one person, Pharaoh. Why are you killing all the animals? But anyway, the Abadish, they fed us on that one phrase. Oh my goodness. This is the 5th plague, deadly pestilence. Excellent, goddess. Okay. Guess what? The 5th and the 10th plague. Is it Noah? That's a good one. Is it Noah? Guess what? 3 plagues killed the animals. Oh my goodness. No, really. I'm going to read it to you right now. This is so bizarre. How come we never saw this? Was I even reading this? I was reading it, yet I was reading it with the filters on of what they told me in church. So I couldn't really see it. Let me show you that right in the Bible, the plagues kill the animals 3 different times. You don't believe me? Let's go to the Bible. Let's look at it. Here we go. And I got this bit of wisdom from one of the 3 Bible scholars that I'm going to share with you at the end. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, so many innocent animals died during the Old Testament. It's really so sad, so sad. I'm so glad Jesus in the New Testament, whether he did it or didn't do it, I'm so glad he came in the temple and let all the animals out and freed the doves and all that. I'm so glad he did that. Okay, the livestock of the Egyptians, the animals are killed 3 times in the 10 plagues. Okay, the first plague that they kill the animals is in plague number 5, rightly spoken of. You said disease. Here it is, Exodus 9, 1 through 7. Then the hand of the Lord will surely bring a terrible plague on your livestock in the field, on the horses, the donkeys, the camels, the herds, and the flocks. What does that sound like to you? It sounds like God is saying, I'm going to kill all of them animals. Is that what? That's what it says. But the Lord will distinguish between the livestock of Israel and the livestock of Egypt, and nothing will die of all that the Israelites have. So, of course, we do know that here comes plague number 5, and the disease comes and it kills all the livestock in the field, all the horses, which, if it killed all the horses, how did they come in the chariots after them later? The horses are dead. Wait a minute. How y'all get horses? And this all happened in a matter of days, right? Like bam, 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 bam. And then they flee. But then the Egyptians come after them in horse drawing carriages. Where did y'all get a whole new fleet of horses? Okay. But we're going to get past all of that. Okay. Wait a minute. I need a tissue. Oh my goodness. This story. Oh. Do you see? They ain't going. I'm messing up all my Sephora makeup. Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. Did anybody ever ask that? Did anybody ever ask how did they do that? I'm sorry, family. I can't help myself. Did anybody ever ask that question? Excuse me, Pastor. I would like somebody to ask that question in Bible study on Wednesday night. Excuse me, um, Bishop, or Deacon Jones. I gotta, because Deacon Jones leads the Bible study, right? Deacon Jones, how did God kill all the horses with the 5th plague? 5 plagues ago, he killed all the horses, only of the Egyptians, though. And then the Egyptians chased the Israelites down with their horse-drawn carriages, their chariots. How did that happen? But it takes your friendly neighborhood Christian witch to tell you about that. Okay. But that's not all. We're not done with the animal part yet. Let's continue. Now, everything I'm showing you is right in the Bible. It says it right in the Bible. No research required. Just read it and start to ask yourself these common sense questions. We don't need to be Bible scholars to pick this apart. Bible scholars are so helpful. We don't need to be a Bible scholar for this part. Okay, let's continue with the animals and the plagues because we're not done with the animals yet. Let's keep going. All right. So the 5th plague is disease. It wipes out all the animals because God is just an angry, vengeful, horrific being who takes out pain and suffering on animals. Like, what did they do? Nothing. But no one even says anything about that. Okay, let's continue. Plague number 7, hail. Remember, the hail comes and it turns into fire. Well, hello and behold, hail kills the animals again. Wait a minute. Hail fell and fire mingled with the hail. Okay, God is now throwing hail mingled with fire. This is Exodus 9:24 and 25. The hail was so severe that there had not been any like it in all the land of Egypt since it had become a nation. The hail struck everything in the open field, both people and animals, throughout all the land of Egypt. But I thought 2 plagues ago you killed all the animals. Wait a minute. Did the animals get resurrected between plague 5 and plague 7? What? How do we have animals again? And clearly, the people who wrote this hate animals because whoever made up this story absolutely has a vendetta against animals because they killed animals 3 times. Okay, plague number 7 comes and you kill the animals again. Okay. All right. Okay, but we're not done with the animals yet. Plague number 10, death. Moses said, "This is what the Lord has said. About midnight, I will go throughout Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt will die. From the firstborn son of Pharaoh who sits on his throne to the firstborn son of the slave girl who is at her hand mill, and all the firstborn of the cattle." You killed all the cattle 5 plagues ago, Moses. Either Moses needs to get his math right. Either Moses needs to get his Moses, I'm gonna need you to write these plagues down, Moses, because you're not even keeping up with your own plagues, Moses. Moses, you already killed all the animals 5 plagues ago. Okay, plague 5, you killed all the animals, didn't leave a one out. Plague 7, you killed all the animals again with the hail. And plague 10, now you kill the firstborn of all the animals. What is really going on here? Please tell me your thoughts, family. Please tell me your thoughts. Please tell me, how did we ever believe this to be? We would fight somebody. I used to be ready to fight somebody over my Christian faith. How did we ever believe all of this stuff? I mean, it's sobering. It's sobering to think that they got us to believe all that we were so, maybe you weren't completely hoodwinked. I was so completely hoodwinked. I was, it was the level of hoodwinkery. It was is astonishing. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me hear what y'all have to say about this. Have y'all seen this in the Bible? This is why the Bible is so disjointed. So we can't instantaneously see the blindingly obvious bamboozlement. The all the boozles are banned. All the boozles are banned. They just tell you to have faith when you ask questions. That's what they do. Right, Carla? They just say, "Uh, don't question God." I'm not questioning God. I'm questioning you who tell me you are speaking for God. And tonight, in my private prayer and meditation, in my private one time, I'm going to ask God myself. And God told me he ain't never killed all the animals 3 times. 3 times. You read it right there in the Exodus. It's right in your Bible. Bring out your Bibles. Bring out your quote unquote holy Bible. Bring out your epic fantasy novel smashed in humanities library is what I call it. Wonderful collection of literature. It's a wonderful collection of literature. It has nothing to do with you other than getting the wisdom out of this. It's a spell book. It's got magic. It's got necromancy. It's got allegory, mythology, dragons. It's got all of that. Get out of it what you want to get out of it. Okay. But by no means do you think that that came from God. By no means do you think that that came from God. Okay. The contradictions are real. They really are. We were cast under a spell. That's it exactly. Cast under a spell. It's a spell that's cast on the masses, and they are so hypnotized to it that when you tell them that you read a book that helps you better understand the Bible, well, how you going to read? You believe that book, but you don't believe the Bible. I don't believe any book. I don't want to believe anything. I want to know. I want to know what happened. I want to be aware. I want to be awakened. I want to wake up and understand the cosmos. I desire to be an awakened being, a loving being, a being who is a free being on this planet and whose very presence frees others, and is an absolute beacon of love and light. That's what I desire. That's what I really want. So we've got to we've got to dispel. We've got to take scrub out our mind. Take the blinders off. Let's continue. But wait, there's more. There's more. There's more. Yes, Tahuti. I love this. I love this. Psalms is actually this salams, songs of Tahuti. I love that. And the Proverbs as well. Proverbs, a lot of Proverbs. And Psalm 10 was written by a Pharaoh. It actually says it in the Bible. If you have the Catholic Bible, let's show you right now. If you have the Catholic Bible, Psalm 10 was actually written by a Pharaoh, and it says it. Let me go to the Catholic Bible. Catholic Bible online. Let's see if I can get to the Catholic Bible online. Can I read this Catholic Bible online? Let's see. I want to go to a Catholic Bible online. Okay. Oh, it's Bible Gateway has it. Okay, great. Let's just go to Bible Gateway. And let's go to Psalm 10. Is it going? Yeah. Bible Gateway. And let's go to Psalm 10. And let's look in the Catholic. Where's the Catholic Bible? Let's see. Hopefully. Oh, New Catholic Bible. Let's do this one. Go. And let's see what it says. Psalm 10. Does it say it here? I read it online. I've got to put the link underneath this video so that you can actually see it. No thanks. No thanks. I've read it online, so I'm going to find it for you and look up Psalm 10 in the Catholic Bible. And it was written, I believe, by Akhenaten. Okay, let's continue. I'll find it for you and I'll put it underneath. I'll give you a link to it. Oh, pardon me. I'm going to present. Okay, so we're not done yet. So what do we have so far? So far, we understand that the numbers don't add up. Absolutely outrageous. Never happened. The plague, the Exodus, none of that. The 10 plagues never happened. Also, we find out that the entire population of Egypt at the time, absolutely, the escapees would have exceeded the entire population of the entire country of Egypt. And that's saying a lot because Egypt is a huge country from north all the way to south. And we have also come to the understanding that there is absolutely the army wasn't even that large of Egypt's military. There's absolutely no way that you can feed and supply that amount of people in the desert. And not one trace left of any of them. And then we see that the 3 plagues, we see a very big problem with the 3 plagues of Egypt. Now, before we go further, this video is sponsored by what we have going on in our world, which is the book, The Real God Is Not in the Bible. So if you are a member, I updated the link for you in YouTube. So if you are a member on the YouTube channel, either the Valerie Love YouTube channel or the Christian Witches YouTube channel, I want you to go to the channel and I want you to go to membership. Because if you are a member, you will see that today I posted the latest version of this book. It's an ebook format and you have it as a gift. As for members only, that's on both the Valerie Love YouTube channel and the Christian Witches YouTube channel. Now, if you are not a member, by all means, become a member. Become a member. Become a member. But if you go to valerielove.com/books, there is a link to where you can buy the book. Now, it is so, so, so important that this book get out there to the masses. Would you help me? Could I ask for your support in getting this book to the masses? So the ebook version right now is on Amazon, and the paperback and hardcover. Thank you for keeping the book on the bestseller list. Thank you for your incredible reviews of the book. We need reviews. So, would you help me help get this book into the hands of anyone and everyone who would like to read it, who will benefit from this book, by sharing it on Amazon? And I'll give you a link to the book on Amazon as well if you're not a member. If you're a member, like I said, it's a gift because we give our books to members. It is a gift. Okay. So get your gift if you are a member. If you are not a member, please be so kind as to pay it forward. Oh, that is an affiliate link. Let me put that in the chat. Hashtag paid, hashtag ad. Thank you for using my affiliate link. As an Amazon influencer, I am compensated when you use that link to buy from my store. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, I do also want to let you know one other thing, and that is that right now, up until the end of August, you can still apply to partner with us for the Bali retreat or the Egypt retreat. Yes, we are returning to Egypt in 2026. Cannot wait. We have so many people coming with us to Egypt in 2026 already that have already started to register. Yes, 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 yes. Great payment plan. Right now, you can register for Egypt with only a $100 deposit, and you can even partner with us to see how you can get the Egypt retreat and the Bali retreat absolutely free. I'm not kidding. This is a limited time offer, and I'm going to give you the link for this. It's at valerielove.com. And when you go to valerielove.com, it's right on the front page. So if you go right on the front page of valerielove.com, right here, you can see attend the Bali or Egypt retreats absolutely free. Click this link to gain access to the Zoom. This is your last chance. This is your last chance. Lots of people have already taken us up on this offer. It's going away this month because the Egypt retreat is in 1 year. The Bali retreat is in 1 year from the time that I'm doing this. We are doing Bali in August of 2026. Bali was freaking phenomenal last year in 2024. We take you to the temple. We take you to a lovely luxury villa. Of course, we go to Turta Impul Temple. We do all kinds of things in Bali, and then photo shoots and all of that in Bali. And then if you are coming with us to Egypt, we're going to take you on the Nile River cruise. We're going to take you to there. We are on the hot air balloon. That's our pilot right there, about to take us up over the Nile River in Luxor. And yes, Nile River cruise, hot air balloons, temples, pyramids, go inside the pyramid, uh, Tutankhamun, Tutankhamun. Many people call him Tutankhamun. His name is actually Tutankhamun. That's his actual name. But I know Westerners, we just call people different things other than their names. Anyway, if you know you would love to come with us to Bali or Egypt in 2026, and you want the opportunity to partner with us to go on these retreats absolutely free, plenty of people have already taken us up on this offer, then you need to hop over there tonight and get yourself registered. Okay? That's it. Let's return to our regularly scheduled program. When did the 10 plagues supposedly take place? Like, when did these 10 plagues happen? Let's look at Egyptian history. Now, according to the Bible, this is what it says. It says they have two dates that could be possible that it happened from the Bible. It could have happened according to 1 Kings 6:1. It says the Exodus happened 480 years after after King Solomon's temple, which would have put it around 1446 BCE. Keep that date in mind. Exodus 1:11 says that it was during the building of the cities of Python and Ramses. So this could have been around 1279 to 1213. So here are the two options. When do the scholars say, when supposedly did this happen? And then you could just look at what was going on in Egypt and see if there's any correlations. When supposedly did these 10 plagues happen? And that there was this mass exodus of millions of people out of Egypt with not a scrap of evidence. When supposedly did this happen? Well, they have two dates. The early date is the 15th century, which would have been during the 18th dynasty. This is the dynasty of either Tutmos the third or Amenhotep the second. Okay. Or that's the early date, the date from Kings, the book of Kings, because the Bible says two different things about it. The late date would have been the 13th century BCE during the 19th dynasty. That would have been either during the reign of Seti the first, Ramses the second, which is what a lot of movies in Hollywood go with. They go with Ramses the second or Meneptah. Now, let's take a look at why the early date and the late date framework are both fictions. Because this is what the Christian scholars want to tell you, the apologetic scholars. They want to tell you that they can date when it happened. Let's look at it. So I put that in ChatGPT 5.0, because, right, don't we have this brand new 5.0 ChatGPT? Okay. Here is the early date, the building evidence. If millions of people left and it was their workforce that left, you would think that the temple constructions, the construction projects all over Egypt would have come to a grinding halt because all the people left, all the labor left. What happens when we have a strike today? All the work grinds to a halt. No one's doing the work. Well, is that what was happening in Egypt? Can we find, if we look at these same periods that they say it happened, either the early date or the late date, either one, pick one, can we see that, oh, there was an absolute slowdown of Egyptian building that would somehow match, correlate what is in the Bible, just to see, is there some basis for it? Absolutely not. So during the early day, Tutmos, he was one of the most active builders, Tutmos the third. He was one of the most active builders. He built the temples at Karnak, which we go to when we go to Egypt. I've been in the temples of Karnak a couple of times. I'll show you pictures from the temple of Karnak. Let's go look at it right now. Let's go look at it right now because I pulled up pictures for you. This first picture I took, I pulled this specific picture up because this is a picture I wanted to get I know it's not easy to see. This is in the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities. I desired to see all of the kingdoms as the Egyptians tell it. So during the New Kingdom period, supposedly during this period is when the Exodus supposedly happened. And it happened either around 1548 or so, which would have been somewhere around here where you see Tutmosis the third and Amenhotep the second, or it happened down here sometime around the time of Seti the first, Ramses the second, Merendptah. So Seti, 1291 and 1278, Ramses the second, 1278 to 1212, or it happened up here. Hold on, I apologize that this is zooming in so crazy like this. Or it happened up here around the time of Tutmos the third, which would have been between 1504 1450, Hatshepsut, who is supposedly, I'm going to show you supposedly who she is in the Bible, and Amenhotep the second, right? So these are the times that it was supposed to have taken place during these two times. So let's look at what the building evidence tells us. There is no archaeological gap in construction. As a matter of fact, it shows increased activity with no mass loss of a slave labor force. So let's just look at Egypt during the times that they say the Exodus happened and all these plagues happened. Was there any kind of slowdown in work? No, they were ramping up, building even more. Okay, what about the late date? The late date, because the scholars are talking about Pi Ramses, which is mentioned in Exodus 1:11, 19th dynasty, Ramses oversaw vast building campaigns, the temples at Abu Simbel. So when you go to down to Aswan, on the way from Luxor to Aswan, so when you're in Cairo, which is where we start the retreat, Cairo is in Upper Egypt. Upper Egypt is actually the north of Egypt. And the reason they call that upper is in Lower Egypt. I apologize. Lower Egypt is the reverse. Lower Egypt is in the north and Upper Egypt is in the south because the Nile River runs north. It's one of the few rivers around the world that does that, right? It runs from south to north. Well, from Cairo, which is where we start our retreat. We start in Cairo, where you go to the Museum of the Antiquities, and you see just shocking, shocking things uh, about Egypt and that history and the creation and building and so forth and so on. And then we go to the pyramids of Giza, and then you go south, which is actually going to Upper Egypt when you go south. South, the next stop is Luxor, and Luxor is where you go to Karnak temples, temples at Luxor, all of that. We go to the Memnon Colossi. We go to the mortuary temple of Queen Hatshepsut on the West Bank, where they had that really bad shooting many, many, many years ago. That's where it happened in the West Bank. So the West Bank of the Nile River. We stay on the East Bank of the Nile River, and then you take a felucca, those boats, over to the West Bank of the Nile River. And on the West Bank is where you have Queen Hatshepsut's Queen Hatshepsut's mortuary temple. She was quite the character. We got to do a whole show on her. Where you also have the Valley of the Kings, where all these elaborate, I mean, insane, insane uh, mortuary. Here's Queen Hatshepsut's mortuary temple right here. That's an entrance of it, and where you also have the Valley of the Kings. Let me see if I think this is a map of part of the Valley of the Kings and how they have these elaborate burials. And this is actually me going down into one of them. Like that's how deep they are in the ground. It is absolutely insane because they buried them with so much treasure. So they had to bury them really deep in the ground. And you would never know if you look at the landscape that there were burials here. You would never know because they don't want you to know that because they had all the goods in there and they didn't want the grave robbers to come and get all the stuff, right? So anyway, so you go to Luxor and then there's a bunch of stuff in Luxor. Then we get on the cruise ship and we go down. And as we go down, um, actually not down, as we travel south to Upper Egypt, and that's where you see Temple of Philae, and that's where you also can go to Abu Simbel, and what else is down that way? Abu Simbel is down toward, that's where we go to Aswan. You go past the Aswan Dam, all of that. That's quite amazing. People love that when we're on the cruise ship. Everybody jumps up. Usually it's at nighttime. Everybody jumps up, goes up to the top of the cruise ship and looks, and we see, oh, we're going, through the Aswan Dam. It's a nice spectacle. It's pretty amazing. So anyway, even though there's a lot of controversy around the Aswan Dam, I do understand that too. Anyway, I said all of that to say that when you look at the building projects, did they stop? Did they slow down? Did they? No, you can go see them right now. Building, building, building with no sign of any kind of economic collapse. any kind of collapse of their economy, any kind of societal collapse. It would have been a massive societal collapse if all of the firstborn people of every family died. It would have been a massive societal collapse if all the animals and livestock had died. It would have been a massive societal collapse if the Nile River turned to blood. But you know what was very interesting about the Nile River turned to blood? The Bible said, but the Egyptians had to go. How did they live without water? You can't live more than 3 days without water. These people are in the desert. The Nile River, it's the desert. So, and even if it wasn't the desert back then, because it could have been very verdant at that time, where are you gonna how are you gonna feed millions of people with no water? Because the water is blood. The Nile River was the source of water. So the Bible puts in this little line that says the people had to dig around the Nile River for water because it looks like someone knew that we were going to ask the question, how did they live if the whole Nile River turned to blood? How did they live with no water? So the people had to dig all around the Nile River to get water. But if you dug and you were getting the same water that was the Nile River water, wasn't that blood too? Don't ask too many questions. Don't ask too many questions. So, what we are saying here is that neither dates, either date, it's a fiction. Either date. When we look at the archaeological and historical record of Egypt, there's no such break in building projects like all our slave labor just left. We are at a complete standstill. We can't build anything. They're just building and building and building and building and building like the Egyptians did. Okay, here's another inconsistency in the story. We're coming down to the home stretch. I love y'all for being so into this. Do you remember when Pharaoh called the midwives to speak to them about killing all the Hebrew males when they were born? Do you remember that? I want to ask you a question. Supposedly there was a genocide, right? Let me close some of these right here. Okay, supposedly there was a genocide. Let's come off screen share for a minute and let's ask a question. How many midwives do you think Pharaoh rounded up so that he could get rid of all of the Hebrew babies? How many midwives? Anyone? Put it in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, put it in the comments. How many midwives did Pharaoh round up, supposedly, because he talked to the midwives to kill all the firstborn? Not even the firstborn, all males. It says in the Bible, all males. How many? Okay. We can see what happens when people and animals, vegetation are slaughtered and destroyed, and the water supply is cemented and blocked off. Yeah, that's exactly right. How many? How many Hebrew babies? How many? Okay, Stray Panther 44. Love that. Love that. How many? 120. Sharon, that would make sense, right? You're rounding up all the midwives that supposedly helped birth all these 600,000 able-bodied men, right? These millions of people. So you are rounding up all the midwives because you need the midwives. This is what they told us in church. You need the midwives to unalive only the Hebrew males, but let the girls live. So we got 2 votes. We got 44. We got 120. 120 sounds fair, unique organics. Excellent. Let's go to the videotape. Let's see what the Bible says. This is all in your friendly neighborhood Bible. I would recommend everyone read it. Let's see how many midwives Pharaoh rounded up. 2 midwives, Shipra and Puah. 2. Okay, let's read it in the Bible. Wait a minute. 2 midwives are birthing all these babies. These have got to be the hardest working midwives you have ever seen in your entire Exodus chapter 1, verse 15. Let's read it. Exodus chapter 1, verse 15 to 22. Let's read it. The king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, one of whom was named Shipra and the other Puah, he called too. When you assist the Hebrew women in childbirth, observe at the delivery. If it is a son, kill him. But if it's a daughter, she may live. But the midwives feared God and did not do what the king of Egypt had told them. They let the boys live. Then the king of Egypt summoned the midwives and said to them, why have you done this and let the boys live? The midwives said to Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, for the Hebrew women are vigorous. They give birth before the midwife gets to them. So God treated the midwives well, and the people multiplied and became very strong. And because the midwives feared God, he made households for them. Then Pharaoh commanded all his people, all sons that are born, you must throw into the river, but all daughters you may let live. If this is not a blatant lie about the Egyptians, this is one of the reasons why people are in wars with people of other races, other cultures, because they know nothing about them. And we were told that God said this, which it wasn't God, it was the Anunnaki, it was a bunch of these warring factions of Elohim. We already know that. It was a bunch of beings that were on this planet, had nothing to do with God, and they made up a story about the Pharaoh. But now, if you're a Pharaoh, first of all, you can't think of a better way to unalive the Hebrew children. So you call the Hebrew midwives. Does that make sense? But now you call all the Hebrew midwives two. Two midwives done birth thousands upon thousands. Every day somebody's having babies, millions of people. Every day. How's that possible? Tell me how you have two labor and delivery doctors in the entire city of millions of people. Tell me how you can have, let's take New York where I grew up. When I grew up, it was 8 billion people in New York. So let's just say there was only 2 million people in New York. Only 2 million people, 2.5 million, 3 million people. And two labor and delivery doctors, midwives in the entire city for all the 2.5 million people. Okay. We ought to be telling them in church, this is a mythology. And you might as well own up to this is either a mythology or it's a blatant lie. It's a lie on other people. And we shouldn't lie on other people. It says it in the Bible. You shouldn't blaspheme. This is a blatant blasphemy on Egyptian people. A blatant one. Never happened. It never happened. Okay, let's continue. Two midwives. And then how did he know that they weren't unaliving the kids? How did he know? Like, is Pharaoh walking around? Pharaoh is in his palace. Is Pharaoh talking to any of these people? No. But he called them back because supposedly they weren't doing their job of unaliving these babies. Why are you not unaliving the babies? Oh, and they had to make up a story. But God bless them. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's get another inconsistency in the story. We've got to go deep with this thing. We have another inconsistency in the story. What's the inconsistency? The Egyptian origin of the name Moses. Moses is an Egyptian name, which most people know. Most people know that Moses, who is the hero of the Hebrew people, who was also our hero when I was in a Christian experience, uh, Moses is a freer of slaves, breaker of chains. He's the one he's paramount. He's critical to the story. He's not a secondary character. He's a main character. Like he's critical to the story. Well, The name Moses, or MS, or MESU, this root word mis, or mesu, or mes, means born of, or son of, or child of. So most of the time, so whenever you saw Moses, you just saw me show you a theophoric name, Tut Ankh Amen. This is Amun, who is on Tutankhamun's name. They had the name, it's a theorific name. So the name has the God in the name that they are devoted to, dedicated to, are a living embodiment of, because many, all the kings and queens of Egypt were anointed and they were one with the God. So they were considered God figures. Well, they were anointed with the fat of a crocodile, they say. I've got to do more research into that part. So let's take an example. Tutmos, that's born of Toth, or Tahuti, Toth, Tahoth, Tahuti, same being. Ramses, born of Ra, because here you see the Mos, and so it's Thoth or Tut. Here you see Meses, that's Ra, born of Ra. Here you see Atmos, born of Ea, which is the moon god. So Moses' name, even though it's Egyptian, it's a half name. It's an incomplete name because it means son of, child of, born of. What if your name was just born of? But born of who? So is it possible that they took away, if they got a name from somewhere when they were making up this story, Tutmos, and they chopped off the God name? But none of us would know because we don't know what the name Moses means. And most people wouldn't tell you to go look up what it means. So, you know what they tried to do? They tried to say, oh, we got to fix our error because his name is Moses. And that's an Egyptian name. And it actually means the son of, or the child of, or the god of, or the offspring of, or born of Ra, or born of Tahuti, or born of Ea. What's going on with this? We gotta fix this. And so later on, much later on, they came up with this configuration. Oh, the Hebrew word for Moses has the root to draw out, which means that they drew him out of the Nile River. That's why he's named Moses. Has nothing to do with Egypt. And as you can see, that's not so. That's not so. One more. Egypt left behind inscriptions, administrative records, temple texts, hieroglyphics on the walls. None of them mention any kind of collapse from plagues. None of them. Egyptian texts do sometimes talk about, maybe a famine here or there, things like that. That's obvious that there would be some kind of famine here or there. Famines happened. No records, no textual evidence outside of the Bible says anything about any plagues creating some devastation in Egypt. So, what do scholars say about that? If you are talking to a Bible scholar who is an apologetic, like Wes Huff, a person who's a Bible thumping Christian, I have to make the world Christian. I'm on a mission from God. I've got to make this Christian story right no matter what. They're going to tell you that it actually happened. That's what they're going to tell you. And now, if you're talking to a Bible scholar who is a historian, who is a critical historian. Critical doesn't mean poking holes in. Critical means looking at it with critical thinking skills. They're going to tell you that the 10 plagues are a fiction. They're a mythological myth. a theological myth. It's a story about religion and about God and about my God's more powerful than your God. And even some conservative Christian, conservative historians, minority of them, will still say that maybe some catastrophes happened in Egypt here or there, yet the biblical story is mythologized. Now, here's the evidence: zero, zero archaeological evidence, zero attestation outside of the Bible for it, zero. So we talked about when it took place. Here's the conclusion: we've been duped for thousands of years to believe that a contrived story of one small group of people's origin story is the story of God saving his people from slavery. What a scam. It's a scam. We've been duped. That's the bottom line of it. And what are we going to do now? For what purpose? Why would someone make up this kind of story? Why would they perpetrate it all over humanity? Why would they perpetrate and spread this story to billions of people such that billions of people believe it and will kill for it? To keep our minds roped to religion and under the control of the power mongers of humanity who would seek to enslave all of us. That's the goal. Keep all of us under the thumb. Keep all of us behaving, praying, obeying, and paying, using us for batteries, just like the Matrix, siphoning, we're giving our energy, the church, siphoning the energy from the people, siphoning the money, siphoning, come there every Wednesday, every Sunday. Nothing wrong with it. If you love it and it works for you, beautiful. It didn't work for me. And most of the people that I'm talking to, it didn't work for them either in the way that it was told to us to do it. I had to find a new way. I had to find my own path. Awaken, humanity. Cast off your mental shackles and awaken. That is the bottom line of this story. Now, on to the three scholars who helped me with this, because I delved deep into their work. I didn't talk to these three scholars. I don't want you to think that. These three scholars' work I delved deep into. I love them. I have followed them for a long time. I've read their work. I've studied their work. I've listened to hours and hours and hours of their teaching, commentary, and findings. Bart Ehrman. Bart Ehrman is probably one of the most preeminent Bible scholars on the planet. Bart Ehrman. He was the one that I found out that they killed the animals 3 times in the plague. And I was like, and it's 10 plagues. I'm like, I never read that. And sure enough, I had to go back and read it in different Bible versions. And it says it right there. It's very clear. Clearly, it's showing us that we're not reading the Bible, or we're not reading it clearly. We're reading it with a filter. The filter of only look at what we want you to look at from church. Joel Baden, one of my favorite Bible scholars, Yale University. He teaches at Yale University. He's a professor of Hebrew Bible and religion at Yale. Harvard, got his PhD from Harvard. Like, these are super sharp, super smart, super learned people. Joel Baden is even a Jewish person. And he said there's not one thing in the Bible about Moses even remotely plausible or even remotely true. It's not even plausible or remotely true. Not one thing about Moses. I was shocked when I heard him say that. Gad Barnea, also Dr. Gad Barnea, incredible historical scholars. I'm not interested in listening to Bible scholars who only want to push more of the Christian story, because I already know that story. Okay, I got it. I heard that story. I understand. Got it. I want to hear from historical scholars. I'm not an atheist. I don't want to only talk to atheists. I love talking to all kinds of people, whereas Christian people only want to talk to Christian people. Child, didn't didn't we hear already that we have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok? Plymouth Rock you didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Rock landed on you. Thank you, Malcolm X. Malcolm X told us he was a prophet. He told us this, and that's why they unalived him, because he was telling the truth. We must certainly were, and it's mind blowing. It has been 13 years of deconstruction, and my mind continues to be perpetually blown by the shared degrees of deception. This is what I have found, goddess. What I have found is that I still keep getting shocked after having been doing this for years. How am I still shocked? Like gobsmacked. Like even putting together tonight's class, lesson, whatever we want to call it, tonight's show. I'm gobsmacked. Like, how did I never see? It's like scales falling from your eyes. How did I never see these things before? How did I not see it? I told my ex pastor at a Bible study I went to after I left the church that the Exodus didn't happen. He told me, I see you read like I do, but also said, let God be true and every man a liar. Pastors know it. Can they tell you? Absolutely not. The whole thing will come crashing down. I love you. Pick up the book, share the vid, absolutely subscribe. Absolutely subscribe. And I'll see you here next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, where we're going to go into the actual person that destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, which actual Anunnaki being destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, and why the Bible told you that Sodom and Gomorrah was not destroyed for what they tell us in church. According to what they tell us in church, they say that Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed because of homosexuality. Absolute lie, absolute lie, absolute lie, absolute lie. And we're going to go into that next week. Who destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah? How did that happen? What happened? All right. I love you. Peace. Casey out.